actually access memory, and this sounds like we're talking about a computer directly, but when you don't access memories, those synapses, those neurotransmitters start to die because you're not using them. But that's part of critical thinking, reaching back to empirical knowledge, analyzing it against other pieces of empirical knowledge, and then coming out with a new priority, a new thought, a new direction. This is how you develop critical thinking. Now, I'm the devil incarnate. I'm the guy who makes interaction design. I have trained over hundreds of students in how to build in this space. And the thing I keep screaming at them is the theory and thought of process. And it's really kind of lost today worse than ever. There are 4 words, and I'm not a computer coder or programmer, that I tried to teach my kids, and they didn't seem to want to hear it because they were my kids. If, then, else, end. With those 4 words, it's critical thinking. It's not coding. It's logic. It's reasoning. So here you have a generation that is up to their eyeballs in the product that came out of this, but not necessarily embracing the structure that built it. So Gen I is a kind of a very good but strange group at the moment. I refer to them as also as Veal, the title of this book, because as soon as I said this to an educator who came to a similar event I was at, I never met this woman before. She had a young son with her. And I said, well, my book's name is Veal because they're being consumed and they're consuming. She gave me a look like, oh, that's like perfect. You're right on the money with that. And that's another fear. Gen I, Generation Interactive, I kind of believe we're bred like Veal. And I'm going to talk a lot more about that, I hope. Good?
Yeah, there's definitely tons.
What's that?
There's definitely tons of Veal questions coming your way.
Yeah. Oh, right there. I did net neutrality already.
Yeah.
So jump to 13.
You feel good about your net neutrality? I go in and out of what you're talking about, focusing.
Let me go to net neutrality one more time. Totally separate.
But you want to do digital natives versus digital immigrants harder?
Where is that?
That's the next question below.
13, 14?
Yeah, so have Gen I pre-programmed to respond to...
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
You think you did that well. But let's just break down the idea of what's the meaning between digital immigrants versus digital natives. What does it mean? How is it affecting people? Where are we going with it?
One of the other parts of Gen I, as opposed to what we're calling digital natives or digital immigrants. Digital natives seem to refer to like the term millennials. They're born at the time when all this happens. Doesn't mean they adapt to it. Doesn't mean they all get it. Some may pretend, some may be exceptional at it. Then on top of that, you may have digital immigrants, which are typically an older group, kind of coming into the space, the digital marketplace, and trying to adapt and trying to learn. Natives, it's just an age thing too much. Maybe they grew up with it, but it doesn't mean they've completely and utterly embraced it and accepted it. Just because you're native to a land doesn't mean you're truly part of that growth and evolution. You may want to stay with the years in which you were born and not go past that. So Gen I to me means people that are kind of young people and old, really doesn't have an age thing attached, that you're kind of seriously in it to win it. You're there. You're going to do this regardless because you embrace this. Those that embrace are going to go much, much further. And in the immortal words of Bruce Springsteen, there are winners and losers, and don't get caught on the wrong side of that line.
Okay, so just to jump in, this is going off book a little bit. So there's Generation X, there's the Millennials, there's Generation Z, right?
Yeah.
So what I want you to do is explain, there's X, which is immigrant, there's Millennials, which is a native,
right?
And then there's Gen Z, which is also native, but Gen I breaks down barriers. I think the question is, aren't they Generation Z? Like they're not Generation Z. They might be of Generation Z,
right?
But Generation I are the members of these groups that are moving forward.
The members of the 3 groups.
Okay.
that are truly understanding the power of this and moving forward. Okay.
I think just a separation of that.
Yeah. One of the questions that comes up all the time in talking to people about this area of Gen I, we've had Gen X, Gen Y, and maybe Gen Z coming up. And they keep saying to me, I don't understand, Gen I is where within that spectrum. It's kind of a strata within all three. Gen X kind of was born into it. Gen Y, born deeper into it. Gen Y hasn't even come here yet. They are just starting to get into it. But that's time. We're not talking about time. What I'm talking about is mindset. I'm 60 years old. When something new comes out, if it's good, not just because it's new, if it works, I will adapt to it because it works. That's my mindset, not my age. Gen Xers, just because they were there from the beginning or kind of worked into it as it evolved, they're not necessarily all going to work it. Gen Y either, or Gen Z. It's not going to happen. Generation I is about recognizing the benefit of this new platform, this new space, and immediately seeing how it can be used. A really good friend of mine, again, an old student, he was in this space at one time where people were confounded. I don't understand. You just saw this software on Friday. How can you come back on Monday and you know how to use it? And his response always is, it's the same thing. It's the same software. It just has different tools. It works the same. It saves the same. It uploads the same. Every time we approach anything in this space, whether it's an app, software, digital, anything, we have a logical intuition. That's Gen I. You don't have to be taught it. You don't have to kind of like it or not like it to use it. It's very simple. We just get it. And we know what its place is. And that's truly Gen I, as opposed to the delineation of millennials, Gen X, Gen Y, or Gen Z. And that's truly the difference. It's a core inside. The problem is it takes some strong intelligence to see it, identify the pattern, recognize the pattern, and quickly adapt. And that's kind of the strange part about this.
Okay. Is the digital...
Here's really terrible. I'm about to go like this. I think I'm getting an Oscar.
And another thing. I never learned to read.
What was the Zoolander or?
No, that was Wayne's World. Someone posted up the best parts of Wayne's World, went on for 15 minutes. I forgot how fucking truly brilliant that fucking movie was.
Absolutely.
First one.
And Mike Myers. Just Mike Myers.
So alright. Is the digital divide creating too much distance between the generations? That's where we're at.
A term that's been used forever is digital divide. National Geographic just did this amazing hour-long special, not just speaking in like smoke and mirrors about the digital divide, literally showing case studies around the country, different school districts, different children, different teachers, different families, the ones who have access to the internet, the ones who have the available tools, and the ones who don't. And the difference, of course, is always based on financial, school district, school taxes, but the way they're falling behind and the speed at which they're falling behind is the most frightening part of this documentary. Digital Divide on National Geographic, Nat Geo, they really presented facts and not just smoke and mirrors. I've been a family of educators for, I don't even know how long, probably over 50 years. All of my cousins, my sister, brilliant, good, hardworking people. Buzzwords like digital divide turn them off immediately. However, at the end of the day, when they see the effect, they're starting to understand that even though in the beginning it was just words on a page, now it's getting scary. Economically for the world, very scary. China, India, and us, we're not keeping pace with those countries. And that's where the digital divide is going to hurt us the most. So is it real? Does it have an effect? Was it just a made-up word 30 years ago? Kinda, but not anymore.
Okay, we're gonna go off book a little bit. Me and you, we're sitting on a train together. We're talking digital divide.
Now we're talking Einstein?
No, we're talking digital divide, right? I'm not gonna go watch Nat Geo video.
Okay.
Explain to me digital divide without that Nat Geo. But
Okay.
use those facts. Just
Okay.
don't reference to it.
The only reason I referenced to it was to give it validity besides the words, because they've been beat up so much.
No, and we'll
Okay.
go get